We're going to draft our unsung heroes from Super Bowl 54. Chris has the trivia question. If I get it right, I get dibs. Otherwise, he does. All right. Ask me a question I won't be able to answer.
Here we go. You might be able to get this. Before Sunday, Andy Reid was the active head coach with the most career wins without a championship. You knew that. Now that Reid has his title, which current head coach has the most wins without a Lombardi trophy?
Current head coach, most wins without a Lombardi trophy. Yes, I'm buying time. I'm scanning through all the guys who have been on the job a long time.
Yeah.
And they all have, I'm thinking, Mike McCarthy, he's got one. Sean Payton, he's got one. I mean, process of elimination, I'd eventually get there, but we don't have enough time to do it. Who would it be? Who would it be? It's got to be something not all that obvious. Is it Doug Marrone?
Wah, wah. Ron Rivera, right? You would have got there. I know.
I would have gotten there.
It's hard. It's hard when the camera's on you and you know you're wasting a whole segment by trying to figure out that answer to that question. So
a lot of guys to sift through.
Yes, they're
around for a while. Yeah.
All right. So unsung hero. First off, I feel like. Can you pick a 49er in the unsung hero draft?
And it's not unsung chief.
I know, but it just seems like can you be a hero on a losing
Would
team?
you lead with a 49er? I don't know, but
No.
you can pick one.
No, I'm going to go with my unsung hero, and this is somebody you've heard me talk about a lot the last 2 days. That's Chris Jones. I'm going with Chris Jones. Chris Jones was huge in this football game. I mean, we talk about big plays, big players making big plays in big moments. Well, he's the reason Jimmy Garoppolo threw the interception early on. He was, when there was a pressure applied to Garoppolo, more times than not, it was because of Chris Jones. Then his ability to get hands up in the passing lane not only deflected a few balls, but had some other passes that his hands are in the way, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo had to throw the ball a different way because he realized that big sucker was there and trying to time out his throwing. But Jones is the second best player on the Kansas City Chiefs for my money. It goes Mahomes and Jones. He's a game changer when he's in there. And, here you go. Another slant route. Got his hands on that. I mean, he had 3 batted balls in the last 2 drives of the game that were huge. So, Chris Jones.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, and I think it's fairly obvious, but still a good pick. Probably the guy I would have taken if I had had the first selection. We talked earlier about who would have been the MVP if not Patrick Mahomes, and you suggested Nick Bosa. Well, one of the reasons Nick Bosa didn't rack up the MVP, one of the reasons the 49ers didn't win, Eric Fisher did a good job of containing him, right?
Sure.
You can't stop him. You can't shut him down, but he kept Nick Bosa from effing up enough plays that would have made it easier for the 49ers to win. And thing about offensive linemen, unless they are throwing guys into the front row, you don't notice when they're doing their job well. You only notice when they're doing their job poorly. So Fisher's a guy who deserves some credit for not letting Nick Bosa destroy the Chiefs' offense.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you're right. It destroys the word. We've seen that 49er D-line, right, Mike? Destroy. Like, hey, did he get beat or pushed around in a few plays in the Super Bowl? Certainly. But he didn't get destroyed in the fact that Mahomes didn't even have time to react or process, like, ooh, what does the pocket look like? We saw in games against Green Bay and in Minnesota where there were times there where, they caught the ball and their offensive line had been destroyed as a whole, and there was nothing they can do. The Chiefs were good enough at least to buy Mahomes a little time to where he could make magic, get the ball out of his hands, and do that. So I'm with you there. I'm going with Spags. I'm going with Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator of the Chiefs, as my second pick. I mean, to me, unsung hero for the whole 2019 season. Andy Reid making that change. Spags, yes, it didn't start off pretty, but the defense just got better and better and better and better to where we got to the playoffs and you started to go, damn, I don't really care where the Chiefs are ranked. They're kind of playing defense about as good as anybody in football. Other than the 49ers. They had become that force. We saw them shut down Derrick Henry, and not that they shut down Shanahan in the run game, but they certainly didn't let it just dominate the football game and control the clock. So I think between that and some of his creativity and pass defense, Spags is, again, an X factor in the Super Bowl, just like he was in 2007, helping the Giants beat the Patriots.
Yeah, and you wonder whether that gets him on the radar screen next year for head coaching opportunities. Does he get a second chance? it was so bad for him with the Rams. Maybe he doesn't. But if the Chiefs continue this type of a run, you're talking about a head coach with an offensive background. If the defense plays well and vaults the team to another championship, how do you not at some point lock on to Steve Spagnuolo and convince yourself he's ready for another opportunity to be a head coach? All right, next one for me, I remember first hearing the name BashaudBreeland.
Yeah.
This came up the first Monday night of the season, 2016. Josh Norman, then in his first game with Washington after the Panthers rescinded the franchise tender, they were playing the Steelers, and people were like, why the hell is BashaudBreeland covering Antonio Brown?
Right.
They're paying Josh Norman $15 million a year. He should be traveling with Antonio Brown. And BashaudBreeland got torched that night. Well, he didn't get torched on Sunday. And Look, it wasn't a wire-to-wire great performance, but he had a big tackle of Deebo Samuel on a screen pass behind the line of scrimmage. Next play, he was right place, right time for an interception of Jimmy Garoppolo that kept the 49ers from building an early lead.
Right.
It felt like they were going to build a lead and keep a lead, and then the Chiefs would have to come back. It didn't happen until the second half. One of the reasons it was tied at 10 at halftime is Breeland, hey, you're supposed to make that catch. He was in the right place at the right time, but there's been no mention of the guy in the aftermath of the game. I mean, that's classic unsung hero.
Yeah, no, it is. And to your point, early this year, BashaudBreeland struggled. I mean, I think you heard me on some Sundays just going, oh, what is it? Pass interference by Breeland? Oh, holding by Breeland? I mean, but as the year went on, and this is a guy that's been injured, and this is, he probably needed some time to get totally 100%. But, yeah, he was pretty awesome in the football game. He was, and he was awesome down the stretch of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that was a big interception. You're right. Because the first drive of the game, we saw the 49ers go down, and you went, ooh, it doesn't look good for the Chiefs. And then that drive kind of started off the same, and you're going, oh, man, are the Chiefs ever going to slow them down? And that did halt the momentum of the 49ers at that point to make you think, whoa, can the Chiefs get up on them 14-3? What is it? What can happen here? So great year by BashaudBreeland. I'm going to go to Nick Bosa, all right? I am. I mean, he was an unsung hero of the football game. Yes, Eric Fisher didn't let him get a ton of sacks or do anything like that. But I think as a whole, as I said earlier in the show, he was the best defensive player on the field. Nick Bosa, I just can't say enough about the guy. He's in the conversation for the best defensive player in football already in his rookie year. He really is. I mean, he is up there with Stephon Gilmore and Aaron Donald. Mike, how many guys did we have to come on Radio Row last week where we asked, what about the 49ers Z? Who do you stop? Every one of them said Nick Bosa. It's just so rare for a rookie pass rusher to come in and have that effect. And, I know they lost, but he still showed that he was really a phenomenal football player on Sunday.
I could go a lot of different ways on this. When I thought about Deebo Samuel, I thought he was great. We talked earlier.
Yeah.
I will go Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Because there was talk in the press box that if the 49ers had won the game, we're like, well, who's the MVP?
Maybe. Right.
He could have been the MVP of the game. I mean, he had 39 yards receiving, and he added to that 53 yards rushing on 3 attempts. So, I mean, that is a quiet 92 yards from scrimmage, and he would have had more if they would have used him more. That's the problem. They should have been using him in the second half. Line him up in the backfield, man. Do something. Just get the ball in the guy's hands. It's obvious when he has the ball in his hands, he is better than the guys who are trying to tackle him.
He is. He's got a special way. He's just so explosive. He can go 0 to 60 in 2 steps, and he's just fearless running the football. And you're right. My little boy voted on the MVP like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter and voted on, for Deebo Samuel too. But then it got to 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, and he was like, wait, I got to change my pick. But Breeland was amazing. And, hey, that was another one. Stats just said this in my ear. I mean, Bosa with the first pick, Deebo Samuel, the second pick, all the benefits of going from 4-12 2 years ago. They struck and made those 2 picks in the top 35 or 36, whatever it was. They made them count, and those players contributed to their football team.
Tanks for nothing, tanks for everything. Yes, there is a benefit to being bad if you know how to use those picks.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I think these teams have staying power, They know how to use their
They do.
picks. Yeah. How about some other possibilities? We got a couple more minutes here. I was thinking of going Sammy Watkins.
Sure.
He had almost 100 receiving yards very quietly, and he had 5 catches on 6 targets. And, Tyreek Hill had 105 receiving yards. And that long play from the 22 to the 22, 2-3 jet chip wasp.
Right.
We give Mahomes the credit, but if you're not Tyreek Hill, if you don't have that speed and explosiveness, you're not wide open.
No, exactly right. I mean, again, that there's not really a quarterback wide receiver combo like that in football. They're one of the few teams that can pull that off. That play in general, have enough pass protection to block those guys, those freaks of nature up front just long enough to where Mahomes can launch it. Yeah, not a lot of people are going to dial that up that way. But yes, Tyreek Hill he was really good in the football game. And makes himself available when Mahomes is trying to scramble around and do things. You said it, Sammy Watkins, he certainly had some big moments in the football game. I even thought, just to get away from football a second, hey, I had Demi Lovato on my list. I thought the national anthem was, out of this world good. Whitney Houston will always be number one to me, but damn, Demi Lovato put herself in the conversation, I think, for, the fight for number 2, right, with the national anthem. I don't know what it sounded like on person, but she killed it on TV, and it sounded like the crowd realized she killed it.
And as Stat said, she hit the under, too, so there's some people out there even happier with the performance than they otherwise would have been. All right, let's take a break, and we'll wrap up this Tuesday edition of PFT Live when we return right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.